Alright, my friends, welcome back to the channel, and get ready to be mind blown because we are going deep again into the fallacies of the fake history and how we have been crazily manipulated by very specially intelligent individuals from the past who have a vested interest into telling us lies. We're starting off with this picture here. What do you see here? Do you see a mountain? Well, maybe you see that because that's all you can see with your own eyes, but what if you're actually seeing here is a melted castle? That's right, it could sound crazy, but we've talked about this in a previous video. Look at the actual towers here. Look at the rest of it. It almost looked like this place was completely melted to the ground. Rivers of melted rock was covering the massive castle, and we have here some remains. To me, this doesn't look like an actual mountain. This looks to me like a big, either huge kind of castle and a city around a column, around a hill pretty much, or just a massive, huge fortress which was completely melted to the ground. But, this is the problem with history, that maybe sometimes you don't only see the truth until someone points it out to you point blank in your face. Now move on to the next one. This one was from the Baalbek temple. Do you see there a circular saw on one of the stones? People didn't have circular saws which could make those type of perfect cuts back in the day, thousands of years ago. That was just not possible. So effectively, the people who built the Baalbek temple are people who had technologies which are pretty modern, to be honest, compared to today's standards. And this showcases again that we were completely lied about. Look at this one. This one is a 3D ring, okay, with a photo inside from ancient Rome. That's right, this is not a modern thing. This was made maybe like over almost 2000 years ago, okay, by a Roman person. What sort of technology you would need to make that masterpiece, a 3D image ring, alright? That is insane. You don't have the technology to do that 2000 years ago. It's just impossible. That would just not work. So again, we are missing a very important piece of the puzzle. And when I say pieces, moving on to the next topic, which I believe, guys, you will absolutely love this one. So we all know the Abu Simbel, which had to be moved because they were building a dam. So they wanted to save the temple. So they cut it in new chunks of stones, and then they effectively moved it around. And it was just 200 meters, that's it, 200 meters to move the temple and to secure that this place doesn't get affected, okay, simple as that. Now, we have a problem with this, and quite a huge problem with the Abu Simbel temple. This project took over 5 years to be done, 14 countries participated, and all it did is transport about 1050 or something blocks of stone. Each block of stone was about 2 tons, 2 to 3 tons approximately, and then they moved them effectively from point A to point B with the most advanced technology, because of course 14 countries participated and gave their money to support this cause. This is where the math doesn't make any sense. So we are saying that to transport and cut, okay, with the most modern technology in the 60s and 1960s, it took about 5 years. Look at this data here. So first and foremost, how long it took to move the Abu Simbel temple? As it says here, so they cut into pieces between 3 to 20 tons. Sorry, my bad. So actually some of them were actually bigger than 3 tons. In weight, and reassembling them as they were, it took almost 5 years, involved about 3,000 workers, and costed $42 million in the 60s. Okay, let's look what official science is telling us about what? How long did it take to make the Giza Pyramid? The Great Giza Pyramid took about 20 to 27, let's say 30 years to make. Now, this is where the problem lies. How many blocks does the Great Giza Pyramid has? The Great Pyramid of Giza has an estimate of 2,200,000 2.3 million blocks. Approximately 5.5 million tons of limestone, 8,000 tons of granite, and 500,000 tons of mortar were used in the construction. Okay? Now, this is crazy. We're saying that back in the day, some starvation people, some like slaves or whatever, doesn't matter, like moved 2.3 million blocks of stone, okay, across the desert with basic technology only in 30 years, okay? This is the official science. It's telling you that. And they had primitive knowledge. They didn't have any what people have in this day and age. And now somehow, all right, somehow now with our advanced technology, it took us freaking 5 years to move just a small temple 200 meters with all of the most advanced machinery. Do you see the problem here? Do you see that making the pyramids of Giza in just 30 years, 2.3 million blocks of stone, okay, and each of them were tons or weighting in tons to be moved, and they did that in just 30 years. Do you see the fallacy, the lies, you just cannot make this up, guys. I mean, they're literally lying in your face. All right, so effectively by the calculation of using modern technology, if this took 5 years, then using ancient basic technology to do this sort of thing, as in to do this big massive pyramid, it would take about potentially 100 years or more, you know, like not 30 years, because we're talking about 2.3 million blocks of stone and tons of mortar and a crazy amount of, and piling it up like this, all right, in a perfect angle. Is just, come on guys, give me a break. Like, here you see the fallacy and the lies, because once you start comparing what's happening right now with modern technology and what they're doing with the temples when they're touching them and moving them, you can tell straight away that just things just don't add up. And if this took 5 years, then the pyramids, obviously with basic technology, would have taken huge amount of time, like a massive amount of time. So again, official science is literally lying to your face. It did not take only 30 years, and it was made by potentially other advanced civilizations which were not the basic Egyptians as we are told today. But again, official narrative does not want you to think. They just want you to feed from the media, watch your movies, and pretty much that's it. Now, next one, guys. These are the tubes of ancient tubes of China. These tubes are iron pipes which are over 5,000 years old, were discovered in China. Iron casting did not exist in China over 5,000 years ago, especially this level of craftsmanship. This is not possible. So someone else, some other civilization had the technology to create iron pipes over 5,000 years ago. The estimate of this is that this is potentially even more than 50,000 years old. I mean, that's obviously different estimates of different people. We're not going to argue the actual age of this because you cannot really find out for certain. But what we know that effectively when these pipes were made in China, they did not have the technology or the ability to cast iron like this. It was just impossible. So once more, we are here with a big dilemma. They are literally lying to our faces because these guys just cannot happen. So what's happening here? We see that official science cannot explain the past. Then they're making up certain things. They put those things in history books, which are complete lies. And then when faced with the hard truth and comparing events of the modern day, modern technology, and then comparing what they're telling you, same as with the Abu Simbel temple, which was moved in 5 years, okay? 5 years with the current technology. And then the Great Pyramids took only 30 years. You can already tell that someone is lying to you. And the person who is lying, or better said, the organization, the institution who is lying to you, is the same one that wants you to be an ignorant person who does not know about history because they're afraid of people finding out the truth of our past. And that most likely all of our big wonders, all of our big technology from the past, all of our big things that people made, that humanity supposedly made in the past, were made by potentially a completely different civilization and not the humans we are told. So guys, that's it for today's video. As always, I shall see you later in the next video.